Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another live stream. This is everything DC, Marvel, and more. And today we're going to be going over the full DC Chapter 1 slate. So, the DC Chapter 1 slate came out on Tuesday of last week, and I waited until today to make a live stream on it just so I could get all of the news and wait for all of it to drop, just so I can go over it. Let me know if the Oh, sorry about that. Let me know. Okay, it seems like the audio sounds good, so that is good. Um, so we are going to get straight into this. So DC revealed their Chapter 1 slate and their Chapter 1 plan for everything that they have for this for their Chapter 1, which is called Gods and Monsters. So I'm going to share my screen. Normally I make it into like a slideshow and everything. I did not have time to do that, so I'm just going to do this. There we go. Okay, there we go. So let me go here, and there we go. So that's a little small, I feel like. I'll go here, and then let me go here. There we go. So now, let me zoom in. Perfect. So from the days of Crisis on Infinite Earths, DC has understood the importance of new stars taking our favorite superheroes in unexpected new directions and establishing a DC universe that reflects the world of today. It's certainly been true of our comics, and it is equally true for our many movies and TV series. Last year, Warner Brothers Discovery announced that blockbuster filmmaker James Gunn and producer extraordinaire Peter Safran has been hired as co-chairman and CEOs of DC Studios, a new studio taped with overseeing all DC film, TV, animation, and game projects moving forward. Since then, of course, DC fans have been pretty much wondering the same thing. What new movies and TV series are they working on? Well, the way's over for DC fans. Gunn and Safran have unveiled the first 10 interconnected DC Studios projects, 5 movies, and 5 HBO Max TV series. And yes, we said interconnected. All 10 of them are set within the same shared universe and will frequently share characters. However, while not included below, there are films outside of the shared continuity, which is called DC Elseworlds that they announced, like the already announced Joker 2, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, from director Todd Phillips and Matt Reeves' upcoming The Batman sequel. The DC is a multiverse, but we're going to be focusing on one universe from that multiverse, explains Safran. And if something is in DCU, we're going to make that very clear. So strictly adult fare like Todd Phillips' Joker, or kids animation like Teen Titans Go, we're going to make it very clear that those are DC Elseworlds, just the same way they did it in the comic books. So there is James Gunn, and there is Peter Safran right there. But the focus today is on the core connected DC universe and the initial shows and series that will help take its shape on the screen. Familiar characters like Superman and Batman are obviously represented, but Gunn, Safran, and the creative teams they've been working with are pulling from unexpected corners of the DC universe as well. Here at DC, we have Metropolis, Gotham, Themyscira, Atlantis, Baialia. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. This is the world that we're creating, Gunn shares. We're coming into a world where superheroes exist and have existed for some time in one form or another, and that's the universe. We are telling a big, huge central story that is like Marvel, except that I think we're a lot more planned out than Marvel from the beginning, because we've gotten a group of writers together to work out the story completely. While all 10 of the below projects are in active development, some are further along than others, and both Gunn and Safran emphasize that things may shift around. What we're sharing with today is the first part of our first chapter of our universe, reveals Saffron. The first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Many of the following projects are already being worked on, but we're remaining flexible and we're going to adjust because we're never going to put a project into production before the script is right. This is a general timeline, but there will be flexibility within it. Below, both Gunn and Safran share some details and the thought behind the 10 new DC movies and TV series revealed today. So first up, we have Creature Commandos. So this is Creature Commandos. It is going to be an animated HBO Max series, and this is what James Gunn had to say about it. The first series that we're doing, and I've already written the entire series, is Creature Commandos. This is an animated TV series that and this is art from the animation company that's doing it. Creature Commandos is based on the great team from DC. What we're doing with the DCU is we're having animation tied directly into live action. Television, movies, and games all intertwine within the same universe. We're going to cast actors that are going to be able to play the characters in this, as well as in other things, some of which were already cast. I've written all 7 episodes. So keyword 7 episodes. So it's a kind of an odd number of episodes. It's not 8 or it's not 6, it's 7. So 7 episodes of the show, and it's in production now. And the image going left to right. So now it's who these are. So I'm actually going to show you right here. There you go on the screen. From left to right. From the left is Rick Flag Sr., who is going to show up in some other stuff as well. Then Nina Mazurki, I'm not sure how to say that. Dr. Fasorfis, a Batman villain. And then is Frankenstein, Eric Frankenstein. And then the Bride of Frankenstein, who's the lead. And then G.I. Robot and Weasel. So those are all the characters from left to right. Next, we have Waller. So this is the first live-action HBO Max series. Viola Davis is coming back as her character, Amanda Waller. This is also going to have some of the Peacemaker team in it as regulars on the show. This basically follows up Peacemaker. We have 2 great creative teams working on it. Crystal Henry, who is a writer on Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created Doom Patrol, which I did not mean to click. They have this incredibly marvelous story worked out, and I think it is really fantastic. And then this series will set between Peacemaker Season 1 and Season 2, so it's almost like a Peacemaker Season 1.5. And then I forgot about this. If I go up a little bit, some more news about Creature Commandos is the synopsis of Creature Commandos is a 7-episode animated show written by James Gunn, shows Amanda Waller creating a Black Ops team out of monstrous prisoners. So it's almost like Suicide Squad, I would say. Close to. And then, speaking more about Waller, there is that picture right there. Waller, starring Viola Davis, this series features Team Peacemaker and will be written by Crystal Henry Watchman and Jeremy Carver from the Supernatural. Next is Superman Legacy, the first live-action movie. So this is really the launch of the DCU. The first 2 projects are and I'm not sure how to say that word. I'm going to take that off the screen. For what's coming up with Superman Legacy. James is currently writing it. We're hoping that he will direct it. It's not an origin story. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Superman represents truth, justice, and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks of kindness and old fashioned. With our stories, we want to take it away from good guy first bad guy. They are really good, almost where was I? Oh yeah, and Superman is among them. There are really terrible villains like Gorilla Grodd or the Joker. Then there's everybody in between them. So there are all these shades of gray, which allows us to tell complex stories. And we have a release date for this, July 11th, 2025. So something interesting about this date that I do want to talk about quick. I'll go through this and talk about my own opinion on all of these. But something interesting about this date is obviously San Diego Comic Con is always around the end of July. And I do think it is a little bit weird that I do think it is a little bit weird that they're having the this come out before that Comic Con time, because I think they could really hype up this with Comic Con or even show a world premiere screening of it. So it's a little bit weird that they did have this come out on July 11th. So, I mean, this does have pros and cons. The con is obviously they won't be able to really have a panel on it because it already came out. The pro is that because this is coming out before Comic Con, then they probably will most definitely have a screening of it. It just won't be a world premiere. So the movie would have already came out. So if you don't want to spend the money in theaters to watch this on July 11th, you can wait just 2 weeks, and then you can more than likely watch a screening of it in at San Diego Comic Con. So next, Lanterns. Oh wait, one more thing. Where was I? Oh yeah, Superman Legacy, written by James Gunn. The film will hit theaters on July 11th, 2025. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. So right there, Superman Legacy. There's the official picture for that. Next, we have another live act series, which is Lanterns. Our next project is another television series we call Lanterns, and it's starring two of our favorite Green Lanterns. Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Is going to be with HBO Max, as all of our series that we're going to talk about today. It is more of a true detective type mystery with our two lanterns, a terrestrial based mystery. That leads into the overall story that we're telling throughout the different movies and television shows. We find this ancient horror on Earth, and these guys are basically super cops on Precinct Earth. The story is going to weave back and forth between the films and the television shows. Peacemaker is a good example of how that works, and that's what we're going to do with this big overarching story that we are telling. So now there's the picture of Lanterns, the official picture. Here's some more information about it. Lanterns, this enormous TV event series, follows intergalactic cops Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan as they uncover a dark mystery. Next, we have The Authority, the next live action movie. This is one of my real passion projects. I've been working really hard on it with all the writers, and we're starting to put together the entire story. This is a big movie. I don't know how many of you are familiar with The Authority. They're Wildstorm characters. Wildstorm was a comics imprint that was bought by DC that I really love. We're moving a lot of these Wildstorm characters into the DCU. The Authorities, a very different kind of superhero story. They're basically good intentioned, yeah, but they think that the world is completely broken, and the only way to fix it is to take things into their own hands, whether that means harming people, destroying heads of state, changing governments, basically whatever they do to make the world better. We'll see how that journey goes for them. There are morally gray characters in our DC, which these of which these are. We love that they think and ends justify the means, that they're the ones that decide what the right ends are. So the authority, which is right here, there's the picture for the authority. Some more information about that. DC's Wildstorm characters will join the DC universe as members of the Authority, takes matters into their own hands to do what they believe is right. After that, we have Paradise Lost. So, Paradise Lost is a live action HBO Max series. This is a Game of Thrones type story about Themyscira slash Paradise Island, home of the Amazons and the birthplace of Wonder Woman. This involves all the darkness, drama, and political behind the Society of Only Women. It's an origin story of how the Society of Women came about, but what does it mean? What are their politics like? What are their rules? Who's in charge? What are the games that they play with each other to get to the top? I think it's really exciting. The events really take place before Diana's birth, so that's a really big thing to know too. You won't really see the character. You won't really see the Wonder Woman in this series because it is before her birth. So it's almost like what was happening before Wonder Woman existed. Now some more things about Paradise Lost, set in Themyscira, home of the Amazons and place of Wonder Woman. This TV drama focuses on the genesis and political urge of an island of all women. Next, after that, is the very first Batman project in this new DC universe, and that is a live action movie, and it is the Batman Brave and the Bold. This is the introduction of the DCU's Batman. It is not Robert Pattinson. It is not Ben Affleck. We're working with Robert on the Batman Part 2 with Matt Reeves, and we're working with Ben Affleck, who has been a part of our team, to bring things together, and he really wants to direct one of our projects. We're excited for him to do that. This is the story of Damian Wayne, who's Batman's actual son that he didn't know existed for the first 8 to 10 years of his life. He was raised as a little, yeah, I don't know if I can say that word, an assassin. He's my favorite Robin. It's based on the Grant Morrison comic run, which was one of my favorite Batman runs. We're putting it all together right now. This is going to feature other members of the extended Bat family, just because we feel like they have been left out of the Batman stories in the theater for far too long. There is the official look at the Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold, the DCU will introduce its Batman and Robin in this unusual father-son story inspired by Grant Morrison's comics. After this, we have Booster Gold, which is going to be a live-action HBO Max series, a total fan favorite as you know. A loser from the future who uses his basic future technology to come back to today to pretend to be a superhero. I think of it as basically the story of a superhero's imposter syndrome. How do you deal with that? It's about how he tries to use his future technology to be loved by the people of today and what is really the base of that. It's a character story that's going to be a very different type of show, and we're talking to an actor about it now. So there's the official art for Booster Gold. In this live action series, Booster Gold uses basic technology from the future to pretend to be a superhero in the present day. Second to last, we have Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is the next live action movie. This is based on Tom Kane's wonderful comic. Tom has been working with the architects of his entire situation. He's been one of the guys in the room with us, along with 5 writers. I love his take on these characters. He just turns them slightly to be something very unique. In our story, we have Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by incredibly loving parents. Kara was on Krypton. She was on a piece of Krypton that drifted away from the planet, and she lived there for the first 14 years of her life in a horrible situation where she wanted everyone around her die. So she's a much harsher and more harsher Supergirl that you've been used to this far. So then we have Supergirl World of Tomorrow. This science fiction adventure will be based on Tom Kane's amazing award-winning recent comic stories and present a Supergirl that viewers are not used to seeing. That is the synopsis of that. Last but not least, we have Swamp Thing, which is a live action movie. The final film we want to talk about is Swamp Thing. We bring it up because it's important to point out that in these stories, although they're interconnected, they're not all tonally the same. Each set of filmmakers bring their own authentic to these films aesthetic, and the fun is seeing how these tonally different works mash up in the future. This is a film that will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing. We are actually developing a few other things as well, but for one reason or another, we can't say them. This is the first batch of stuff, but there's been a couple of surprises. There may be a couple of surprises to come. So, let's now talk really quickly about Swamp Thing. So, the synopsis of Swamp Thing. The film will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing. That's really it. So let's talk about this a little bit. So, this is really cool, I would say. I wanted to actually rate my projects from most exciting really quickly. I first want to talk about the Elseworlds. So what I sort of wanted to also mention is this, which is the thumbnail of today's video. This was assembled by someone, I can't see the name, but it was assembled by someone, it's not mine. So credit to them. Thank you for making this. This is really nice to follow. So you can see that Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is all before the universe reset. So we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods March 17th, which is next month. And then April, May, June, we have The Flash. And then in The Flash, they're having a multiverse reset. So The Flash is mainly how it resets this new universe. But then we still have Blue Beetle and Aquaman the Lost Kingdom. So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is coming out December 25th, 2023. So that so in 2023, I know it's only February, we're only a month into 2023. All of 2023 will still be having this old DC universe. It's not until 2024, because the last film in this universe is Aquaman the Lost Kingdom, which is obviously December 25th. That's 5 days before 2024. So in 2024, we will have this new reboot in this order. So I'm assuming Creature Commandos would be coming out as the first series in like January of 2024 or February of 2024, and then Waller, then Superman Legacy, then Lanterns, The Authority, Paradise Lost, Batman the Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing. And then DC Elseworlds is Joker, the Batman, the second Joker, the Batman Part 2, Teen Titans Go, and Superman and Lois. So they also announced somewhere that Superman and Lois will be having two more seasons. So that wasn't confirmed if that means that they are having that isn't confirmed if they will be having, this season, so season 3 plus season 4, or if they will be having season 4 plus season 5, not counting this season. But for sure, 100%, no matter what, this is not the last season of the CW. Either there will be one more season after this season, or there will be two more seasons after this current season. So that's really good to know. And yeah, so that's sort of like that. It's really nice to look at that. But before we do that, I do kind of want to go over the other thing from DC that they posted, and that was the James Gunn and Peter Safran building a new DC universe. So this is like a little bit of a little bit of a Q&A. So, the recently hired chairman and CEOs of the new DC studios have the weight of the universe on their shoulders. The DC universe, that is, but it's okay. They have plenty of superhero friends they can call in for assistance, from Superman and Batman to Swamp Thing, Booster Gold to, well, pretty much everyone ever created for DC. Since being placed in charge of DC's upcoming slate in films and TV series, the two minted execs had to hit the ground running, kickstarting the development process of their first batch of projects, 10 of which were announced this morning. Well, wait, where was it? Oh yeah, well, the already existing DC films and TV shows forwards, unsurprisingly, finding ways for it to coexist was not without its challenges. But by Gunn's own admission, they were aided by some good fortune. I think that we got really lucky with the next four movies because we have Shazam, which leads into The Flash, which resets everything, and then goes into Blue Beetle, which is totally disconnected from everything that came up before, and can be a part of the DCU, which goes into Aquaman, which leads into Superman Legacy, our first big project, he explains. So, something that's interesting here is they say that it goes to Aquaman to Superman Legacy. So, I think they didn't release this in release date order because you can see it looks like from this Superman Legacy is the third movie, but apparently that's the first movie in this new universe, which is a little bit confusing because that's already in July. So, does that mean after Aquaman Lost Kingdom in December, oh, and that's not even 2024, that's 2025. So, does that mean for the next 2 years we have no DC content? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So, it must be that Creature Commandos, Waller, and maybe even some other of these series comes out before Superman Legacy. One thing that we can promise is that everything from first project forward will be canon, will be connected. We're using some actors from the past, and we're not using other actors from the past, and we are not using other actors from the past. But everything from that moment forward will be connected and consistent. A key part of DC's films and television on the near horizon amounts to a combination of both new and already established, along with new projects like Superman Legacy, Creature Commandos, The Brave and the Bold, The Authority. Fans can expect a few highly anticipated follow-ups like director Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2, which got a release date today of October 3rd, 2025. So, just like how Superman will be coming out July 11th, 2025, you have June and then July, August, September, October. So then 4 months later, you have the Batman Part 2, which will be in DC Elseworlds. It is a lot to keep track of, even for superfans like us, so Gunn and Safran recently answered some questions about everything brewing at DC Studios to help give fans a sense of how it will all come together. So, on why a shared universe is the right approach going forward. Peter Safran said, DC has had great individual movies over the years, but we think that what the audience really appreciates and needs is a connected universe. It minimizes audience confusion and it maximizes their connectivity to it across all the platforms. James Gunn said, that something that people love. I think that's something that people love. I know that from my own experience, but again, we do have Elseworlds tales that we're telling. The bar for an Elseworlds tale is going to be higher than the bar for a movie within the DCU. Not that we're always going to have a high bar, but it's got to be something really special for us to tell the story outside of our regular continuity and to spend the money to make it. So this is really interesting. How many movies are you aiming for each year? Saffron said probably 2 movies and 2 HBO Max series per year. So if we look at this again, if we looked at 2024, we would have Creature Commandos, Waller, and then 2 movies. Obviously not Superman Legacy because that's in 2025. So I don't know, but that's good to know that 2 movies, 2 HBO Max series each year. About how do you decide which medium to use for which project? Gunn said it's all story based. To us, storytelling is 100% Kane. So it's a so if it's a story that's more complicated, like the Lanterns or Waller story, or has more of independent TV vibe, like Booster Gold, then that's more suited for television. It has to do with tone storytelling. If it's something that we can tell in 2 hours, 10 minutes, or is it something that we need 7, 8, or 9 hours for? We certainly debated a couple of these projects and where they fit better. Ultimately, this is where we landed. How do they decide on ratings and whether something should be live action or animated? It depends on the story. We're going to give every story what it deserves. Some things we know. Superman's definitely something we know we'd like to be PG-13, so I'm going to make sure it is. Sorry. Other things, like the Waller TV show, are a little bit more mature, and we have other things that are aimed for a bit more at young women or at kids that are still within this world. And in terms of animation, it's something just a fun way to introduce characters or introduce stories that would frankly be too expensive to be done otherwise. Creature Commandos is a good example of that. With Creature Commandos, they're all digital characters. Are you planning any big Justice League type crossover events? So this is a really big question. Everything's crossing over throughout. These characters are all interacting throughout the different stories. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean always. Brave and the Bold may just be Batman, Robin, and the characters involved in that, but I know a lot of other times these characters cross around. In Creature Commandos, one of the main characters shows up in Waller. So so it's almost like they will be having crossovers, just not ones with like big events with all of them, but it would just have some with like 2 different shows. About the role of of games that play in the shared universe. It's not like we're going to have the Superman movie come out and have the Superman game come out. It's more like we'll have the Superman film come out, then maybe 2 years later we have the Supergirl movie come out. So what's the story in between there? Is there a crypto game that we play that comes in between them? Something that's still set in the world with these characters, but it's its own thing. We want to give prominence to games that they deserve. Will Matt Reeves' Batman films continue? Yes. Matt is working on the Batman Part 2, which he thinks of a Batman crime saga that also includes the Penguin TV series. The Batman is its own thing. Matt's had at work Matt's hard at work on it. He came in and pitched us some amazing stuff the other day, so our plan is for that to continue. Also, the Batman's not a stepchild, it's all under DC. We're fully invested in the success of the Batman just like we are everything else. Of course, everything's going to be balanced so that The Brave and the Bold is not going to be coming out in the same 6 month period as the Batman. So it's not like we're gonna have two different Batman films in like the same year. It's gonna be different, so it's not all the same, which is pretty good. About the Jason Momoa Lobo rumors. So if you did not know, Jason Momoa was rumored to play Lobo. Jason will not be playing two characters. It's too early to say. Jason always thought Aquaman was a trilogy he in his own mind, but he also loves Lobo. He's been very clear about that too. He's never going to play two characters. But we'll figure out after Aquaman 2. Will the animated movies from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment continue? So a lot of these movies, just like this movie, Legion of Superheroes, all of these, a lot of them come out during San Diego Comic-Con. A lot of like Lego movies for DC, a lot of animated movies for DC has a lot of, that you can watch. We're dealing with all that. Some of the stuff will continue as Elseworlds, but a lot of other stuff we're starting to bring to animation with Warner Brothers Animation President, Sam Register, so that we will have things that are connected with this. I think there has been a lot of really marvelous DC cartoons, so we're going to keep moving forward with that. On whether they had to make changes to the Flash. We had input on it for sure, but there's nothing we had to do in order to set up our universe. We're very close to Andy and Barbara, the director and producer of The Flash. Andy's going to do some more stuff for us. So now for the writers who are helping build the story and universe. We have Tom Kane. He has been my partner throughout all of this. He has given me answers to stuff before I took the job. So it's me, him, Crystal Henry, who worked on Watchmen, Christina Hudson, who wrote The Flash, Drew, who you probably know, and Jeremy Slater, who just did Moon Knight. There's been that's a group of people that we've been meeting with and putting all of this together. What is the difference between DC Studios projects? Even though this is all connected universe, it's really important to me that the individual writers and directors on the projects give their own self-expression to it. Just like they do in the comics, everything doesn't always look the same. Everything doesn't always have the same expression for artists being remarkably different looks, feels, and tones. This is not the Gunverse, so it's not like it's all just going to be what Gunn wants. They all have their own feel of how to make it work. I want each project to have the feelings of the individual artist that's working on it and to give them a lot of freedom as long as it works. To create something special, because what I found through Marvel wasn't exciting was when movies were the same. What was exciting was when you had something like Guardians come out and everyone was like, how is this raccoon going to be dealing with the god of thunder? That's going to be weird. But then when you actually see the mashup happen, that's what makes it fun. So to see something incongruent things come together is part of the fun of all of this. And that is all of the questions. So before I do end this live stream, I do want to get your guys' opinion on all of these projects, which one is your favorite, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm looking forward to as well. So one second. So let me know your thoughts on these projects. Okay. So Lantern's first, and Batman is second. Yeah, I would agree. I'm really excited for Lanterns. Also, the Batman, Brave and the Bold. I think that looks really good. Interested in Paradise Lost and Supergirl. Yeah, I would think that they would do Paradise Lost as like an animated show. So it's cool that it's actually going to be live action, and then also Supergirl. Yeah, that actually I'm happy they're doing a Supergirl series as well. Sounds like I need to renew my HBO Max subscription. Yeah, I think I do kind of wish that they had like a DC streaming service. Like I know they used to have that, but then they just kind of like ended the whole like DC thing, made it all comics. But I mean, I guess it's good that HBO they're having HBO Max have all these series on it. But I do kind of wish they had their own DC series that we could do. So yeah. So let's see. So if I had to rate these, I would probably say my favorite one coming would probably be Lanterns, and then Paradise Lost, Batman the Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, Waller, The Authority, Swamp Thing, and Creature Commandos. That's kind of my rating that I would say. Okay. Well, I think I might end the stream here. If you have anything else to say, any questions about the slate, a lot of stuff has came out that I haven't discussed. So if you have any questions about the slate, let me know. If not, I will end the stream. I do think. Okay, so it looks like somewhere. Let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna share this really quickly because this is really cool to look at too. So on the DC page, you can actually look at this, and it has all the DC Studios Gods and Monsters. So if you want to get more information on it before it comes out, let me zoom in. You have Creature Commandos, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, The Authority, Batman and Robin, Booster Gold, The Saga of Swamp Thing, Hal Jordan, and the Green Lantern Corps. So, like, all of these you can see on the website that all has to do and what they're basing their story on, which is really cool. Like the list two, when do you think chapter 2 will be announced? Well, considering that the one release date that we do have is Superman Legacy, and it's July, and it's in 2025, and that's like one of the first projects. And they said they want to do two series a year and two movies. So let me look at this. So if they have five movies here, and they have five movies, five TV shows. So if they have one, two, three, so that's two, and then one, two, two. I think it would take about 3 years to get through one chapter. Because if you have 2 movies a year and 2 shows a year. That means it would take 4 years to get through 4 movies, 4 shows, and then you have to still get into another year. You have to get 1 movie, 1 show because you have 1 left over. So about 2.5 years. So if 2025, maybe 2026 or 2027 is when chapter 1, I would say that around 2026 or 2027, chapter 1 would be done. So then, if it's in chapter, so if they finish chapter 7 in 2027, like let's say their last project in 2027 is Swamp Thing. Let's say to end chapter 1, their last project in chapter 1 is Swamp Thing, and let's say Swamp Thing came out June, this is totally just a prediction. Let's say Swamp Thing came out June 4th of 2027. Then I would say during like Comic-Con of 2027, they would release the chapter 2 plans. Well, even if the final project came out after Comic-Con, like let's say the final project came out in December of 2027, you could still have during July of 2027 talk about, hey, so we know we still have 1 project left, but this is our plans. I mean, that's what they did with Marvel for Phase 5 and 6. For Marvel, they revealed Phase 5 and a little bit of 6, but mainly Phase 5 before Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the final movie in Phase 4, released. So I would probably say that would make the most sense. I also see this as well. Can you read those online, or do you have to buy hard copies of the comics? So if you go to the DC Universe Comics, I think that's what it's called, or DC Universe Infinite. So on DC Universe Infinite, I will put actually a link in the description, or not the description, in the chat. So right there, if you click that link, you will be able to read some of those comics. Some of them are free. You can read with a free trial, or you can download the streaming service and you get access to basically, I think it's like every single comic that DC has, which is really cool. So you can read all of those, which would be, which ones are they? There should be a lot of them, actually. I'm just trying to see here. So like if you look up Creature Commandos, you click that, you can do so like right here, if I look it up, or try to at least, right here you can see, if I share my screen, you have like let's say you want to read up on the Authority, then on the DC.com website you can click Authority, and then you can, so this you can only read with Ultra, so you have to get the Ultra package, and then you can read that. You can see the volumes, you see details, all of that. Or if you want to watch, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, here you just have to sign up to read. So if you sign up to, like if you just click sign up to DC Universe Infinite, which I think is free, you can actually just read them, which is cool. Creature Commandos, you can read with a free trial. So if you just sign up, get a free trial, you're able to read with that. So you can sign up for free, and you can access Creature Commando, Supergirl, One of Tomorrow. The Authority, you have to get the paid subscription for, Let's see what else. Batman and Robin, you can read only with Ultra. So you for that one you have to get a paid subscription, Booster Gold. You just have to sign up to read. Let's see. Um, for Swamp Thing, you can only read with Ultra, so you have to pay for Swamp Thing to read it. Let's see what else. For the Green Lantern comics, you have to pay for. This Seymour is. Oh yeah, Seymour is just the other DC Universe Infinite pages. So, um, yeah. So some of them you can pay for, some of them you just have to sign up, and yeah, really cool. Let me see. I don't see anything else on here. Uh, Okay, so this is interesting. I don't know if I can share this, but there's a picture that I found that has um that actually has them. 1 second. Yeah, it's a picture of James Gunn and Peter Safran when they were announcing it. And they actually have a picture of the Slate that looks a little bit more, but yeah, it's basically like what I showed you. I'm just kind of going through this. Doesn't really see, can't really see anything about this. Okay. Well, I think with that being said, we are going to end the live stream here because I don't see anything else that came out. So, before I do though, I do want to talk a little bit about the Flash. So, Flash is starting back up, and we have about 3 days. So, this Wednesday, Flash is coming back. I want to start doing live streams every weekend, just kind of talking about it. Won't be on Wednesdays, but just sort of like talking a little bit about what what happened, and just yeah, because it's the final season. I might actually do that with Superman and Lois, and also Gotham Knights as well. For Superman, I mean, one for right now, I'll just focus all the time on the Flash. But when Superman and Lois also comes out, then the when Superman and Lois comes out with Gotham Knights and Flash streaming all the same time, same week, then I'll just do one live stream going over all of them for that week, almost like a review of all of that. So yeah, very very exciting. I'll probably just kind of cover my predictions for next episodes, the current episodes, and all of that. Um, so if that is it, then I will end the live stream there. So thank you all for watching. I hope all of you have a a great rest of your day. Let me know uh, if if anything else comes up about this. I'll be sure to talk about it next week when I go over the Flash. If you're wondering why I'm dragging this out a little bit, just because I kind of want to get to that 1 hour mark, and we've been streaming for 59 minutes and 10 seconds, so just kind of waiting a little bit until we do have that hour mark. But yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, stay yourself. Goodbye.